And then afterwards, what we'll do is open up the discussion for you to get your thoughts out. You know, what was inspired within you? If you have questions, if you have answers, you know, all of that. So my first panelist, if I may, is Miss Sarah. Oh, you already knew. Sarah Schwartz-Kaskutis has a BS degree in Mass Communications from Boston University and a Master of Education degree from Harvard. Sarah has been in the education and media fields for almost 20 years and worked with the Miami Children's Museum for 6 years. Sarah founded the digital art program for inner city students, managed the Miami Children's Film Festival, and founded and co-taught a series of film classes for elementary school students. So please help me welcome Sarah up to the stage. Thank you. Then we also have, right up here, Mario Xavier. You might as well just stay up there. Mario Xavier is a member of the Directors Guild of America. He is part of the production staff of such shows as Burn Notice, The Glades, Bones, and The Finder. He is also an assistant director on the upcoming movies The Possession, Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters, and Iron Man 3. Mario lives with his beautiful wife, Jennifer, and his newborn baby boy, Logan. This is Mario Xavier, everyone. And last but certainly not least, we have Chad Arndt, who's director and a writer. Chad graduated from the University of Southern California in 1996 and immediately started working for Academy Award-winning writer, director, producer James L. Brooks and his production company, Gracie Films. After working on Jerry Maguire and As Good as It Gets, Arndt began a long working relationship with Academy Award-nominated producer Lawrence Mark, headquartered at Sony Pictures. Arndt traveled around the world working on hit films Anywhere But Here, Finding Forrester, Riding in Cars with Boys, I, Robot, Last Holiday, and Dreamgirls. After directing award-winning short films, Arndt decided to leave Lawrence Mark Productions to pursue his feature film directorial debut with Reconciliation. And it's not in the bio, but you should know that Reconciliation did have its world premiere here at the JP2 Film Festival last year and won for Best for People's Festival, which is the Critics' Choice Award here at our festival. And that film will be screening tomorrow night at 10 p.m. over here, I think it is. Tell you right now, because I've got this handy dandy in RDB 11, so it's going to be right here in RBD. Okay, so that's Chad Arndt. Okay, lovely. So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Count them. 3, just 3. 3 minutes for you to just get the very first raw opinion of what you just saw, the thoughts that are coming to your head. Okay. Then after that, you'll get an opportunity to maybe dispute or argue or agree with your fellow panelists, and then we'll open up the floor to our guests over here. So, would anyone like to go first?
All right, I'm going first. All right. So one of the things that I really just admired about this movie, a lot like 7 Days of Sacrifice, if anybody saw that a couple days ago, screened here at the festival, is that it's such a minimalist movie. And in being so minimalist, it just delivers its message so clearly. And I really fell in love with that. And one of the things, I had spoken to the director a couple times via email before this, and maybe you can confirm this or not, I think they had somewhere between 80 to 100 hours of footage. Is that roughly correct? That's what he told me. So 80 to 100 hours of footage to whittle down to this hour and a half. That's a monumental amount of footage. I mean, that's an incredible amount of footage to pick up. So as a director and as an editor, I really found that amazing for somebody to just sift through that much footage to find this incredible movie, this incredible gem. It's like panning for gold, in my opinion. And then one really quick funny story I was going to just tell, thinking about this movie, like what does God's look like to you? Name dropping. I met Morgan Freeman a couple years ago on a movie I was working on, and it's sort of like him talking to me. I sort of like, oh my God, that is the voice of God to me. That is completely the voice of God to me. And just like this, that was in that personal way, just what struck me as the question I would answer in the box if I was in there.
Thank you, Mario. Sarah.
Okay. It's very interesting. For me, I'm Jewish, but I'm the product of a mixed marriage, and so I had exposure when I was younger to, all varieties of religion, and so I was attending church with my uncle, and there was a section of the service when they said, holy, holy, holy. And, you know, in temple we have Kadosh, 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 which means holy, holy, holy. And I went home and I said, well who's, you know, they have the same services we do, who's right? And my mother said, well, everyone. And that's what really struck me about this is we all interpret things in different ways, but it was so neat seeing some people drew God as an abstract concept. Some had a very concrete view, and I was just fascinated by that. But I think, as they were saying in the film, I think once we accept that everyone has a different view and that's okay, that's the dialogue, it would just be so wonderful.
For me, I thought it was very interesting. I thought that it brought up the fact that no matter what you may believe in, we all have a belief. We all have a faith. Even an atheist believes that God does not exist, has faith that God does not exist. I also thought it was very interesting. You saw a lot of question marks. A lot of people had questions. I think almost every person probably had questions. And so then I would ask a question on top of that. If one believes that God exists and God created us, did God just leave us here alone to figure everything out on our own? And if that God did that, what would you think of that God? And if God did create us, and we live in the world that we live in, which is a lot of turmoil, how do you explain that turmoil? So I thought that the documentary did a good job of being a conversation starter. I'm trying to not give my personal beliefs. That's why I'm trying to stay away from that. But I thought I did a good job with that.
Do you want anything you want to add? Or?
As I was watching everyone exit the door, you know, they created such an intimate space for themselves that people just started spouting their emotions in this small space. I was wondering what happened when they walked out. You know, what was their demeanor when they walked out of that box? Was it just back to every day? Did they seem changed? Or, you know, I was curious about that. What happened that second after that door opened?
The other thing I thought was funny, and I think I asked Nathan about this one also, is that aesthetically the box changed. Obviously, as the project progressed, like at first it had this very crude, cardboard almost looking thing. I guess it was styrofoam probably, and then it sort of got a little bit more fancy as the project went on. And I think, in a way, when it was so crude, people felt a little bit more open because it wasn't so formal. Like it was just like a little styrofoam box. I think people somehow got, from what I see, from the footage I see at the beginning, they got a little bit more open. When it got formal, maybe not so much.
If I may, I think something that I really appreciate about Nathan is the fact, and his team, is the fact that you went out and asked questions. Because I think no matter whether you believe or you don't believe, or you know what you believe, I think that the power behind why we're here is worth searching for. And I think all those questions are good. I think this idea that we should all just take what we've received and you know, oh, okay, great, so that's what God is, awesome, now I know. I think if you keep it at that, then there's no relationship. You have to, in order to have a relationship, you have to ask questions. You know, when I met my husband, thank God I asked questions, you know, that way I could find out, you know, where he was from, what he did, what his, you know, life was about. You have to ask questions, and you have to be ready for answers. So, you know, I thought that was really interesting. Another thing that I really loved is the fact that you had mirrors inside the box. And some people, you know, very clearly said, okay, you know, God looks like me, God looks like this. And I think that this is now my theology being thrown, but I think that we look for God out here, and we very seldom are okay with using this mirror that's been placed in front of us and looking for God in here. And the moment you acknowledge, okay, if God may be in here, then why would I be so selfish as to think that just in here counts and not in every other person that I encounter, no matter what their beliefs are, no matter whether I think they're good or bad. So I thought that as far as the design of the box, I thought that was pretty ingenious. So anyway, is there anything that you would like to add? Any thoughts, any ideas?
Did any of the points made, as far as emotions that may have been drawn out of any of you, did any of it anger? Is there any sense of anger about some of the points brought up, or maybe not anger, just any emotion that may have been incited by some of the comments? Or
Anyone?
Randy.
My voice is not right because I have bronchitis, but I didn't have any sense of anger, that's for sure. What amazed me was just to know how our nation, what's going on with our nation. I think I frankly was very surprised at the amounts of people that really didn't have any major idea of their concept of God. The amount of, I think I was surprised that there wasn't a lot more definite people that came in and said, this is who God is. It was very revealing to me that our nation obviously is much less certain about who God is as a nation than they were 40 years ago. It's very, very, I'm 65, so I know about 40 years ago. And very definitely, I can remember my neighborhood. I came from a big family. There was just a general consensus almost anywhere you went that people had this fairly familiar idea of who God was. And and I'm not talking about a Christian God, Jewish God, just everybody seemed to have a much more of a centered idea that he existed and he was part of their life. And I didn't get that in this film. It just seems like many more people are unhinged. And that was very interesting to me.
It seemed to me that, and I would agree with you, that again, people have a belief, they have a faith, and is what I see is we are, if it is God, the question I have is, are we, as was raised in the documentary, if God is the creator, are we now creating God in our image? And I'll give away a little bit of my background now. As theologian D.A. Carson would say, have we de-godded God? Have we created God in our image to be who we want him or her or whatever that is to be so that it works within my life?
But then there's the answer to that, that God may very definitely want us to be revealing himself into us and through us. That it's our own trying to put him into possibly our own image. Would that make sense that that's how God works? Obviously, he can't, of course, in the Christian viewpoint, God is in our image. So, that's another thing. But all those questions and such like that may very well come from God.
Well, sticking to your question about emotions, I don't know if anybody else, but when Randall went on the screen, I started crying.
I've seen him 20 times.
And I don't know, I mean, I think he hit it, for me, he hit it on the nail, because he said God is happiness, God is beauty, but God is also pain, and God is also sorrow. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I think that is God, because he's not just going to be, moonshines and daisies and all these wonderful things, he is also, I think when you go through that pain, that's when you can start discovering more about yourself, more about, your creator, as the movie suggests. And I really felt it with him. I felt the most authentic. And everybody I thought was authentic and genuine, but when he was there, I just saw innocence, and I saw he was really speaking from his heart. And so I really related to him, and it instantly drew emotion for me.
I most identified as him.
Yes. I want to say that first of all, it's a very courageous film in the sense that it's confronting ourselves to ask those questions that we don't speak in public, because we live in our society that says religion is something you do in private. Yet the beauty of film is that, and the beauty of this film in particular is that it brings it to the public arena. But the box is an excellent metaphor for what is going on in our lives. And the mirror is what's confronting ourselves individually and as a society. So I think the movie at different levels, it speaks very loudly, and I couldn't think of a better metaphor than the very last words that, I don't think it says it, but God is in the conversation that we're having with ourselves, whether it's ourselves in the mirror, whether it is with the filmmakers and the crew, or whether it is with society and everybody, and even now. I think that's where God is, and I think that's what I got from the film.
I think from what I got from the film was that the box is actually what we are trying to depict God as being. You know, there's this little box in this whole world, and we're thinking that we have the truth of what God is or who He is. But in reality, it's just a little box on that road. And I think it's good to be, I'm spiritual and religious, but it's also important to listen to other people, you know, speak with an atheist, why they don't believe in God. What is it that I believe in that is not convincing them, which is going to help me, or you know, it's basically respecting everybody else's opinion, because in the end, we don't have 100% the truth. There's still things that we have to find out. There's things that we have to debate. What I like about the movie is that it opens that debate in a very respectful way that, you know, you're respecting everybody else's belief, regardless if they believe in God or not. And a lot of that, if we don't debate, that's the reason why a lot of the wars are happening. Because people are saying, I believe in this because somebody else said it, but I'm not getting inside the box asking myself if I really believe in it. And, you know, there's a lot of conflict because of that.
I would agree with you 100%, if I may. I think you're right. We're trying to box God in a negative sense, you know, in the sense that we are trying to define Him and just put Him into this tiny thing. You mentioned anger, and I was angry. I don't know if anyone else was angry. I was angry. And the reason why I was angry is because I saw, you know, devoid of religion, all these people that agreed in one thing, that if God did exist, if God exists, since God exists, there's love. And yet, how many of these people that are out, you know, drawing hearts and preaching love, and probably went outside and flicked someone off for getting in their way in the sidewalk, you know, or you know, in traffic, or we all do it. So how, for me, what angers me is that sometimes we, especially for those of us that do believe in God and do believe that He is mostly represented by creation and by love, turn others away because we don't really believe it to the point that we are willing to change our entire lives for it, and the way our behavior and the way we relate to one another. What's beautiful is that you get to watch the film and not interrupt anyone because there's a screen here. But if this had been an open dialogue, so many people would have been like, wait, and you'd have all these different, you know, just cutoffs all the time. So I think if we just kind of stop and think about these things, sometimes it can be a reflection of, okay, well, what am I doing to really live out what my belief is? You know, Carlos, did you have a question?
I just thought the theme of the whole movie was the idea of faith. There's a blind faith, and then there's a questioning faith. The writer who was doing the documentary, he was a questioner. He was trying to find out, because he had some faith, but he was trying to find out what's true about God. And to me, he represented, when he did that black box, that was kind of like a church to him at that point in time, very flexible, kind of like nebulous, and everything goes in there. But it was somebody spoke something, everybody that spoke in there, I thought about what they thought about. And also, I think he compared the black box to the three main religions, and he have the imagery of the box in each church. And I think the people that have a formalized religion, like Christians and Jewish and Muslims, they have a certain language and ritual that helps them explain or get an idea of what is really not explainable. Because, you know, you have a certain story, and I think that came out. What he was trying to do is find out, and they said something about, well, what do people in the future think about God? You know, like what religion are they going to be at? And that's interesting because the people in that box were all thinking about that.
It's true. Is there anything you want to add on, or no? Okay.
I have a question for
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
When you say minimalist, do you mean low budget?
Well, it's the kindest way of saying low budget. Yeah. I mean, I know, like I said, you guys had 80 hours of footage, and I imagine in post, that's an incredible amount of time spent just looking at that footage. But yeah, it looks like such simple, and I know when I spoke to Nathan, there's about 2 or 3 guys out there, 2 cameras sometimes. So, I mean, it was just such a core film. It was fantastic, though. It was such a fantastic.
Yeah.
Minimalist. I come from a minimalist world as well.
he really does. Okay, so on that note, we did hand out the ballots, yes? Okay, did you all see what that was? Okay, so just like Chad's Reconciliation was the winner of the People's Festival Award, in your hands you have the ballot that nominates this film for the People's Festival Award. If you loved this film, if you loved the ideas that were presented, if you feel like this really, you know, should be seen by everyone, shout it out from the mountaintops, I want this film to represent the JP2 Film Festival's 3rd year, give it a nice big 5, put exclamation marks on it and everything. If you thought maybe it needed some work, or, you know, maybe you didn't understand it, then, you know, you can give it another rating. But if you loved it, give it a 5. Give it a 5, and then the nominees will all be called out live, Ustream, tomorrow, yesterday, where's my brain? Tomorrow at 9 p.m., okay, when we do our award ceremony. So you can find out whether this film won or not. And then, of course, we end with this. This is called the JP2 Film Festival, not because it's a Catholic film festival, but because, much like God in the Box, John Paul II knew that dialogue needed to be had with people of all faiths. Because to understand God, you have to understand his greatest creation, if you believe there is a God. And that's, you know, all of us. Right? So these beautiful reasoning minds. So that's your homework. Your revelation is, how do you experience God? Do you believe in God? And if so, when do you interact with him the most? When do you get to speak to him most? When do you experience him? Is it in the trees? Is it in, you know, the ocean? Is it in each other? Is it when you look in the mirror? When do you experience God? So with that, we wish you a very good night. If you would like to stay, there is a promotion that, yes, did you want to? Yes. Okay, so we are having a promotion. If you want to stay for October Baby, you can stay right here, maybe go catch a quick bathroom break. Otherwise, we'll be starting October Baby in 5 minutes. And your ballots can go right over here to the pretty lady named Karen.